Welcome to video number 1 for this unit on two-variable statistics. In this video, we're going to focus on two-way tables. In statistics, a variable is a characteristic that can take on different values. A categorical variable is a variable that takes on values which can be divided into groups or categories. Data from two categorical variables about a single subject can be organized using a two-way table. A two-way table is a way of organizing data from two categorical variables in order to investigate the association between them. Here is an example of a two-way table. This table shows the results from 170 responses to a survey asking people their age group and whether they have a cell phone or not. The 38 in the table means that 38 of the 170 people surveyed are 13 to 15 years old and have a cell phone. The two-way table also shows that 55 of the people surveyed do not have cell phones, since 35 plus 12 plus 8 equals 55. The categories for a single variable should not overlap. A person cannot be 10 to 12 years old and 13 to 15 years old at the same time. Each individual is included in only one of the cells in the table rather than in multiple places. Converting two-way tables to relative frequency tables can help reveal patterns in paired categorical variables. Relative frequency tables are a version of a two-way table created by dividing the value in each cell in a two-way table by the total number of responses in the entire table, or the total responses in a row or a column. Depending on what patterns are important, different types of relative frequency tables are used. This two-way table displays the condition of a certain textbook and its price for 120 of the books at a college bookstore. There are 120 values in this data set because 3 plus 9 plus 27 plus 33 plus 36 plus 12 equals 120. A two-way relative frequency table is created by dividing each number in the two-way table by 120, the number of values in this data set. The resulting two-way relative frequency table can be represented using fractions or decimals. This two-way relative frequency table allows you to see what proportion of the total is represented by each number in the two-way table. The number 33 in the original two-way table represents the number of used books that also sell for $10 or less, which is 27.5% of all the books in the dataset. Using this two-way relative frequency table, you can see that 2.5% of the new books are also inexpensive, and that 10% of the books in the bookstore are both expensive and in used condition. In other situations, it makes sense to examine row or column proportions in a relative frequency table. For example, to convert the original two-way table to a column relative frequency table using column proportions, divide each value by the sum of the column. This shows that about 91.7% of the books that are sold for $10 or less are in used condition. Notice that each column of this column relative frequency table reveals the proportions of books in each price category that are in each condition, and the relative frequencies in each column sum to 1. In particular, this shows that most of the inexpensive and moderately priced books are used, and most of the expensive books are new. An association between two variables means that two variables are statistically related to each other. For example, we might expect that ice cream sales will be higher on sunny days than snowy days, If sales were higher on sunny days than on snowy days, then we would say that there is a possible association between ice cream sales and whether it is sunny or snowing. When dealing with categorical variables, row or column frequency tables are often used to look for associations in the data. Here is a two-way table displaying ice cream sales and weather conditions for 41 days for a particular creamery. For the creamery, notice that the number of days with low sales is about the same for the two weather types, which contradicts our intuition. In this case, it makes sense to look at the percentage of days that sold well under each weather condition separately by using the column relative frequencies. From the column relative frequency table, it is clear that 73% of the sunny days resulted in sales of at least 50 cones, while 64% of the snowy days resulted in fewer than 50 cones sold. Because these percentages are quite different, this suggests that there is an association between the weather condition and the number of cone sales. A bakery might wonder if the weather conditions impact their muffin sales as well. For the bakery, it seems that there is not an association between weather conditions and muffin sales, since the percentage of days with low sales are very similar under the different weather conditions, and the percentages are also close on days when they sold many muffins. Using row and column relative frequency tables helps organize data so that columns or rows can be easily compared between different categories for a variable. The comparison can be accomplished using a two-way table or a two-way relative frequency table, but it requires you to account for the differences in the number of data values in a given category. Thank you for watching video 1 of 3 for this unit on two-variable statistics.